Good evening. Welcome on in, Dbacks fans. Appreciate you guys stopping by, joining us for another episode here of Dbacks Dispatch with your trio. Myself, Brett, Gabe on my right, I guess your left, Brandon on your left, or your right. It's late. Who cares? We're not going to worry about directions. But either way, thank you for joining the trio here as we discuss a series win over the Baltimore Orioles, which was definitely much needed to get the taste out of our mouths from that last series against the Nationals. Which who knows? Maybe the Nationals are just a good team. They did beat the Dodgers in their series too, so maybe it makes the series sting a little bit less. But we do get to, at least go into the weekend series here against the Brewers on a little bit of a high note, as the D-backs did snap their 3-game losing streak, and they're a little bit of a skid that they had that we'll kind of break down and talk about here. But like I said, if this is your first time in here, joining here at D-backs Dispatch, welcome on in. We appreciate having you guys. If you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, it does help out immensely. Like the video, comment on the video, even outside of the live chat and the actual YouTube, it does push us into the algorithm. Share with all your friends. Make sure you guys also check out the description. We do have a Discord. It's free. It is always popping off in there for all of the game day threads and even prospect discussion with the minor leagues officially starting. So if you guys are trying to stay a little bit more in touch with some of the players and whatnot in the minors, a great place to be is in the Discord. Follow us on Twitter. I know Gabe was cooking some fucking bangers throughout the last few days. Like he had some wild ones that even had me going, my goodness, my man, you just do not miss. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well. We do have all those over there. And then make sure you guys go check out over all the great content on azsnakebit.com. I know our man Jeff's over there. I know we ourselves, we have a little bit of a kind of a slightly written content, a little bit more of a written form of the episodes you're listening to here. So make sure you guys go check out everything over on the Snake Pit. But like I said, we are here to discuss the D-backs series win over the Baltimore Orioles, which definitely did not start out the way that we all wanted. We'll dive in here and start breaking down game one. So game one, the D-backs returned back from their little 6-game road trip on the East Coast, and it looked like they left their bats, or their bats just did not arrive. The team looked flat and lifeless the entire time. Zach Gallen was once again inconsistent. Looked like, his first start on opening day. He went 4 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, only 2 strikeouts. Definitely the complete opposite of what we saw in New York, where he had, tying a career high of 13. Did all that on 96 pitches, with 50 of them being strikes. Jake McCarthy, once again, his hitless streak continued in through this series. His bat was just cold, but, again, the entire team, the entire offense just kind of struggled in general, as they did go 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. I believe they stranded a leadoff double from Josh Naylor and failed to get him on over. Naylor was at least one of the few bright spots in this game. He did go 2 for 4 with another double. I believe it was either his 4th or 5th at the time. I believe 4th at the time. And like I said, the team itself just looked absolutely dead. They did not even want to be there. It was probably one of the most boring games that we've had. Like, they were just swinging at everything from Zach Eflin, making him look, like a Cy Young candidate, which Eflin's really solid. Don't get me wrong, but it looked like they just had no game plan up there. It looked like me and MLB The Show, where I was just going up there, swinging at fucking everything that's even close to the zone, and just making horrible contact. But the main thing that kind of stuck out, obviously, that we'll kind of touch on here for topic one of game one, Zach Gallen, he just struggled with command again. Obviously, the 4 walks was rough, and the 2 strikeouts, like when he's not commanding, his swing and miss is just not there. So with his 4 batters walked and obviously surrendering those 5 runs with the lack of strikeouts, my question to you gentlemen, as well as everybody at home listening in, I'm always curious to hear your guys' thoughts as well, whether you're in the live chat, which shout out Tanner, Shug, anybody else that's chilling here in the live chat. Appreciate you guys tuning on in here. But is this going to be another year of Jekyll and Hyde Gallen that we saw last year? And then are his issues that he's having mechanical, or is it more of a mental thing? I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
So I think kind of a combination of both, just because we've seen what happens when he doesn't have fastball command. It's just kind of the unfortunate thing about pitching, and it's all the other things with baseball. It's so mechanical, and it's so so finicky. Like, muscles grow, muscles atrophy a little bit. It just depends. Like you can go up 5 pounds, you can drop 5 pounds easily in the span of a month. Like just that's just kind of the way things are, and especially if you're an athlete, like you spend an extra couple of days at the gym, suddenly your muscles grow a little bit more. So that means you're used to pitching a certain way, but now you have a little bit of muscle in your arm, so the ball just doesn't come out of your hand the same way as it used to. It's just kind of a strange thing when it comes to pitching. Same with batting, you kind of just drop a little bit of weight, like Ozempic, Mookie, and you have these sort of weird little issues. And we got I think maybe that's what it is. Just maybe just finding trouble repeating his delivery, especially for that fastball, and we've seen before, just if he's not able to control the fastball, throw up for strikes, keep it around the corners, he really, really struggles, and I think that's what happened here, and when I mean a mental aspect as well, I believe there was I guess, a misplay. I can't say it was an error because it was a misplay, but in specifically this case with Tall, he had the double play, tailor-made double play, and Tall just boots it, doesn't get out of the inning, and so that extends the inning, allows a couple more runs to score. So then he ends up with that 5 earned runs instead of 2 earned runs. He could have easily gotten out of the inning with that. Could have had, a decent day, 5 innings, 2 runs. Same with Merrill, like 5, 6 innings, 2 runs, but fortunately, the defense didn't really help him out as much as he could have, and it just extended the inning, extended his workload, and so by the time he got to the fourth or the fifth, he just couldn't finish it, and just unfortunate. And yeah, I think it's both. Like we've said before, it's hard as a pitcher, and like I know you got to keep your head on straight, but when you see your defense not helping you out and start after start after start, that they're just not helping you, you get a guy on with 2 outs or 1 out, and you think, okay, well, I would do this tailor-made double play ball. They get the right pitch and they just boot it or they mess up, they overthrow it, and you're kind of just like, fine, I'll do this myself. And Zach, unfortunately, right now, just doesn't have the elite stuff, specifically the fastball, to strike guys out like he used to. So I think he has to trust the defense a little bit more, but I understand why he doesn't.
Yes, it's definitely not the characteristical D-backs that we saw last year. Obviously, like one of the best teams when it came to defense. And it seems like at least once a game we're seeing some kind of miscue, whether it's a play that's actually listed as an error, whether it's a misplay, or even like we saw in the Game 3 win, a play that Eugenio Suarez would probably normally make, or at least last year would definitely make, but this year just like those are not coming up the D-backs way. So I do agree it could be a little bit more mental on just maybe not trusting the defense as much. So it could lead to which Mountcastle just took an absolutely that was a great pitch. That was just good hitting on Mountcastle on that clip right there. I think it could just be a little bit of he's not as able to rely on the defense, so he needs to try to think like he needs to do it all himself at times. But if he's not accurate and he doesn't have the command, doesn't have the everything locked in like he did in that start against the Yankees, I think it can definitely snowball out of control like we definitely did see. And even Tanner, I know you're asking here, why is Gallen so bad at home? I did get his splits. It's kind of weird because he's actually historically pretty decent at home. In 2020 or 2019, in only 8 games, he had a 2.76 ERA. 2020 in less games, he had a 3.16. 2021, he really struggled. He had a 4.06 ERA, which still isn't like terrible. It's not what you want to see from Zach. But then the next 2 years, he was really solid. In 2022, he had a 2.49 ERA at home. 2023, he had a 2.47. Even last year in his struggles, he still had a 3.36 ERA. This year in just 2 games, sitting at 9.35. So I don't know if there's a difference between previous years and this year. Maybe he's just still trying to find his groove. But historically, he's not terrible at home. But it is definitely something that we'll monitor throughout the season. But Brandon, kind of same question to you. Do you think that this is going to be another year of the Jekyll and Hyde Gallen, where we just literally it's going to be a coin flip? You don't know which one you're going to see. And then with his struggles, do you think it's more mechanical, or is it kind of like a mental side? Because we know he's a very cerebral pitcher on the mound, and whether good or bad, sometimes could get in his own head potentially a little bit too much.
I think it's a mixture of both, because he has really struggled with that fastball command for probably a half a season now. Like it felt like the entire second half he had like no command of his fastball. He didn't have command of it against the Cubs. He really didn't against the Yankees, but he was able to throw his secondary pitches very well. He didn't do that in this start. He was very fastball heavy in this start. Like he threw 96 pitches, 47 of them were his four-seam fastball. So he really didn't throw that much else. Like his curveball was working really well against the Yankees. But he's so like his secondary stuff works better when he has that fastball command. And he just so far this season, he does not have it. But that Tim Tawa play is like I know that it was hit hard, but it is a play that you have to make. I did like what Tim Tawa said after the game. Like he basically said, "Yeah, that was my fault. That is a play I'm supposed to," because he makes that play. There's one out. They turn two right there. Inning is over. They're only down 2-1. Maybe they don't feel so deflated the rest of the game because they didn't really hit that well after this. Really, like I think they went like 1 for 19 from the fifth inning on. Like they got no hits whatsoever. And like you could just tell that Zach was like just frustrated with that. Like he's not gonna yell at his defense for not making the play because like he said, and like I'm paraphrasing, like I put them in this position. Like I could not get I could not like I was walking guy. He just didn't have. It just wasn't a good start for Zach Gallen, and it's just really hard to really figure out what it is, like why he continues to struggle. Like I know for me, it's very frustrating to watch. Like you said, it's a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Like we don't know what Zach Gallen we're gonna get from start to start, and we can't have that with one of our aces. I mean, both of our aces really haven't been that great so far this season. Luckily, we're still early. We're like what, game 13, 14 or something. Like it's still very early, and I know everyone like doesn't like say, well, we said it was early last year. I don't want to try to compare this to last season. Like I know everyone's doing that because like, oh, we missed the playoffs by one game. It is not because of one game in April. It's like there were 10 to 15 different games throughout the season. It is not one game early. So like I like if you guys do that, I'm gonna be a real pain in the ass for you guys because I'm gonna be like, no, because if you miss the playoffs by one game in April, it means you played bad in August and September, and that's what we did. Like we played terrible in August and September with our starting pitching. So I hope like again, we don't need Cy Young caliber Gallen, but we need a top 25 starting pitcher, I'd say, in Zach Gallen. Like just give us a chance. Just give the offense a chance because we know how good this offense is.
I do agree. Yes, they just give him a chance. Like I even on Monday night, I know the Tim Tawa play didn't help. I do think that just with how like basically lifeless they were. I mean, I know they do a lot of their scoring even late in the games, and I know the Orioles pitching staff in general is beaten up a little bit. But I just think that was even a backbreaker. Like if they get out of it, maybe they can rally. But I don't know. I will disagree a little bit on the point of it. You know, it's one game in April. Yes, it is one game. You do make a great point about like they played terrible in August and September. But to me, it's more of the fact of like you got to take care of like if you're losing a game to the Yankees and all that, like they're still a solid team, but you got to take care of the teams you should be. And I know I mentioned even the Nationals earlier, but if you take an extra game there, even go back to last season when they kind of struggled against the Rockies early on in Coors Field, like there are games that like, yes, it's not one game. Like there are, 10 to 15 pretty much in every season that you can look at as a whole, but those games still early on still do end up factoring in later to where like, you got to get the job done when you need to get the job done. And don't just, think like, oh, cool, we can make up this ground later, because even like, Tanner in the comments is saying, considering how the Giants and Padres and Dodgers are playing, like this genuinely like those few losses in April could genuinely be the difference between them making the playoffs or missing the playoffs. And like, again, that also does matter.
But losing a game to Baltimore, which has no real impact on like tiebreakers in the National League, like that's what I'm saying. Like everyone was like, Now, if we lose to, like Gabe said, like the Cubs, the 2 games we lost to the Nationals, that could come back to like those ones. I am willing to say yes, those April games do matter because of tiebreakers, and we know what happened with tiebreakers last year.
So for me, when it comes to saying early, like, I do agree with you, at least in part about Gallen. Like, it's still early. I think with players, it's okay to say it's still early, specifically pitchers, just because they don't play every day the way position players do. I think for guys like Jake, he's what, 1 for 26 now. He got the one hit, but then he didn't hit in the next at bat. So who knows? Next time he comes up, he's going to get a few more hits. Like, when is that? 1 for 26 going to turn into 7 for 35 or 15 for 50 or something like that? Like, there can be a turnaround there. Same with pitchers, just because they're not fully ready after spring, just because of the way they do the workload. Some pitchers are ready a lot earlier than others, and so with Zach, I think there's still time. Like, maybe by the time it's May, he has things figured out. It's a new pitching coach as well, so I think maybe he could have things figured out. Same with some of these other guys. Just some guys are ready earlier, specifically with pitchers. But when it comes to games mattering, every win and loss counts the same, but they're not all created equal. And there's going to be times when you win, and like we can talk about it later, the runners in scoring position is a problem, and it's going to be a problem coming down the stretch. It's just the Orioles are a struggling team right now, and I'm not going to say Dbacks got lucky because they still won these games, but there's a lot of situations in these games where it could have gone either way, and I think they were just able to pull it off. And yeah, it's just, like I said, I think it is early for specific players, but I think you can't keep dropping games like to the Nationals. You had a couple games against the Cubs that they probably could have won and should have won. Just the punting, and then like you said, they're 3 games behind the first place, and the Cubs are looking good. Even the Brewers are decent. The Mets are looking good. So that last wild card spot, you don't want it to be the same situation where you're 90 games, you win 95 games even, and you're not even in the playoffs. Like, you could have a situation where the D-backs could win 92, 93 games and not make it because of these early season struggles. And that's what I want to see change, is just fix these issues. Like, there's issues that I feel like can be fixed. This isn't a bad lineup, and this isn't a bad pitching staff. This was, 3 decent pitchers, and then kind of a load of trash like the Orioles. I don't mean to shade them, but if
They're
they had
super hurt though. Like,
they
almost all the
had
pitchers are hurt.
if they had this sort of lineup, then you can understand it's like it's going to suck, but it just kind of is what it is. But right now, everyone's healthy. The only guys missing, obviously, is Cattell, which hurts, but we can talk about Corbin later, and we are going to get to him. But Jordan Montgomery is not moving the needle really about anything there. But I do think this team needs to shape up, specifically the defense and the starting pitching. The offense, it's going to come around. It came around last year, but the pitching and the defense has to shape up, because if you're down 3-4 runs in the first inning, then you're playing catch up the entire game. So at that point, the starting pitchers and the bullpen has to be perfect.
Yes, I think we can all agree that there are things that do need to be improved. Maybe not like all of it will be fully season-ending right now, but if they don't improve on some of those aspects, especially like Gabe said, like pitching, the defense, kind of like tightening up and getting back to the one of the best defending teams in all of baseball, which we know they can be. I think it's just right now sometimes it could be just being in their own heads, and even like the Gurriel throw that we'll get to in a minute, sometimes making some silly decisions. But it's even like you said, just little things that if they can shape it up and kind of figure it out, I think we'll be all right. And one of the things that obviously in this game that was ugly, just kind of continued throughout that entire national series, we kind of saw, and we even talked about it after that recap. And then obviously going into game 1 here, which leads into our other topic, was just genuinely the offensive struggles. They were like, hitting is a really tough thing to do in sports in general. I don't think any team is going to hit even 500 with runners in scoring position. Like, you're probably going to be lucky to hit 250, 300. But they're having a few games throughout this year so far where we're seeing a lot of offers, or like the 1 for 9s, 1 for 10s, 1 for 11s with runners in scoring position. And that can be backbreaking. That can be the difference between, a win or a loss on the schedule as the season goes along. And in this game one here against the Orioles, they did go 0-for-6 with runners in scoring position. Like I said, they did strand Josh Naylor. I believe it was the second inning. I think it was the second time around. So maybe like the third or fourth inning. I believe they stranded Josh Naylor after a leadoff double. And they could not get him on over. No, it was the second inning. Because Pavin was hitting the 3-hole. Yeah.
And they were 3 for 28 for the series. 3 for 28.
Yeah, 3 for 28 in the series. So definitely not what we want to see from them. So my question to you, gentlemen, obviously everyone in chat at home, Tanner, Shug, our lovely producer Josh, who's probably chilling in bed. Not behind the ones and twos tonight. He deserves a night off and every now and then, just like the rest of us. But my question to you, everybody, is who needs to step up in Ketel's absence? I know one of them that's probably going to be the hot topic. We'll kind of save for game 3 here. But just in general, is it like one person or is it the offense in its entirety that needs to step up in Ketel's absence and, kind of carry this team and get them out of the slump that they have seemed to be in at times?
So we've seen a guy already step up, so I'm not going to say him. That's Corbin Carroll. He's playing like an MVP right now, but this whole series, it kind of was just him in the series before. So I'm not going to say he needs to step up because he has shown who he is. But I think that 5 through 9 without Ketel has looked so incredibly weak. I believe they went over 15 in this game specifically. They just could not buy a hit, and I think this lineup without Ketel just make it so much weaker in that 5 through 9 because just nobody finds a way on base, nobody gets any hits, and that's kind of what happens when you have to move Perdomo up in the lineup. Instead of him being at the 9 spot, getting on base for Corbin and Ketel. Right now, he's playing behind Corbin, and they are scoring him, but they're kind of it. It's like a 1-2 punch, kind of it. And Pavin, and I'm calling him up, or not calling him out. I'm calling him up because he has to perform in that 3 spot. And they tweeted out like his numbers in the 3 spot, and just it's a whole mess. People love Pavin for some reason, or they're just Tory defenders. I don't know what it is, but
if he can hit like this, I get it. But we need to see more consistently.
It only took 8 games for him to hit a home run from that 3-hole and to score more than, or to get an RBI. I don't think he had a single RBI on the season from the 3-hole, and he had played 8 games there. But that's what we need. We need a guy who can score these runs, which is my argument, which is my frustration, is that Pavin is not a number 3 guy, and he never has been, and he probably never will be. I think eventually his numbers are going to even out. He's going to become a 250 guy once they figure him out. And I'm not saying he's going to be bad, like at all. Like I think he's fine being in the starting lineup. My issue is the 3-hole. I think he should be in the 9-hole. And I don't know, for some reason people find that like offensive things, like, oh, so number 9, that means he's bad. Like, no, he's just a totally different number 9 guy. He has like a 350 on base. Like, he just walks so much. And I would love him to be on first base when a guy like Corbin Carroll comes up, because Corbin Carroll, how many home runs did he hit in the series? Like 3. And they're basically also home runs just because nobody's in front of him. 2 home runs. Yeah, nobody's in front of him. He hits all these doubles. No one's in front of him. So they're not scoring runners in scoring position because nobody's in position for Corbin Carroll, who was their best player. But Pavin, Gurriel, Gino, all these guys need to show up. Naylor was very good in the series. Naylor has been good overall throughout the season. He has granted a lot of double plays. So that is an issue that can be fixed. He also hits a lot of doubles. He has a lot of RBI. But Gurriel, Pavin, and Gino, I think, are the guys who really, really have to step up, because this team cannot look this weak offensively from the 5 through 9. These guys really got to step up and score some of these runs. You can't have a 3 for 28. It's ridiculous.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that it's just kind of the whole team in general needs to step up a little bit. Obviously, maybe not the whole team. Obviously, Corbin will have more on him later. Even Domo's doing really solid. Geraldo Perdomo's hitting probably the best that we've seen so far out of him in his career. I'm pulling up the stats on him really quick, just because it's kind of crazy to see the turnaround. I mean, so far in 45 at bats, he's hitting 333 with a 389 on base and a 900 OPS. And if he wasn't even like that in his All-Star season, so if he could be like this, he's going to make himself a name for one of the best shortstops in baseball. I do agree with Josh in here. I know he's like, kind of memeing too. I was saying Pavin is the answer. You guys are afraid to face the truth. And like, I do fully agree. If he can he just needs to obviously hit for that power. Like if he's going to be in the 3 hole, I don't know. Like again, I see where you're coming from, Gabe, putting him in the 9 hole. My only concern with it is I think he's a little bit slower. Even like Domo at times he's not like Corbin Carroll fast, but I think he's a little bit faster. I don't want to have a logjam in front of Corbin because if he does hit the ball into the gaps and whatnot, I don't want him to be limited to only a double instead of a triple. Where I think like maybe even Domo could potentially run the bases a little bit better than Pavin. It's not a terrible thought, but if Pavin can hit like this that he's been hitting, I know there's a popular graphic, I believe, from MLB Network. We're saying like going back to September 1st of last year, which they said minimum 100 plate appearances. We don't know exactly how many plate appearances it was. Could be a bigger number, but he is number 3 in baseball in OPS behind Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge.
I did the math. It was like 106 plate appearances, and Shohei had like 130 in September.
So it's still obviously solid for him. If he can hit like this all season, or at least a good amount throughout the season, I'd be very okay with walking back a lot of things I said. I'd be okay with admitting that Pavin's a good baseball player. And again, we're not saying he's a terrible baseball player, but we've seen this just with a lot of guys. You got to see a little bit more consistency. And if he can do this in the entire time that Ketel's out, I think that'd be a huge boost for this lineup going through the rest of the season. But Brandon, same question to you. Are you kind of on the same page as Gabe and I about like, maybe just the entire team in general outside of the ones that have already, stepped up so far? Or is there somebody in particular that you have in your mind that you definitely need to step up a little bit, or that you think needs to step it up a little bit more while we are waiting for one of our 2 MVP candidates to, make it back to the lineup?
So I've been going back and forth as to who I think I go between Gurriel and Gino, really. Like they need to step up, because they have been atrocious the last week. They since Gino's opening homestand, I think he has 2 or 3 hits in the last week. Like he had, I think him and Gurriel both went 0 against the Nats in all 3 games. Gino had a double against the Yankees, and then I think he had 1 or 2 hits against the Orioles. So it needs to be one of those 2, in my opinion. I know everyone outside of us, and mainly outside of me, I'm not saying I don't think Pavin is a good baseball player. He is a role player to me. And I'm sorry, as a number 3 hitter in 30 at-bats, he has 12 strikeouts. 9 of them are in the 3-hole. You cannot do that. If you do, then you need to have power like Gino. You need to hit those homers. Pavin is not a power hitter, in my opinion. Pavin is a singles and walks type of hitter. I think Pavin would be really good in the 1 or 2 spot. With Ketel out right now, I wouldn't it's not good to put lefties back to back at the top of the lineup. That's my only thing. But they're gonna Torrey's gonna keep him in that 3-hole. Because Torrey loves him, and I'm pretty sure the clubhouse does. And I have nothing against him as a person. If you're a pitcher and you see Pavin Smith up in the 3-hole, you don't get scared, in my opinion. He is not a batter that pitchers are afraid of unless it's Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander might be the only one that's afraid of Pavin Smith. But that 9 strikeouts in the number 3-hole in 30 at-bats to me is kind of alarming. No one's talking about that, because all they're looking at is, look at his batting average, look at his on-base percentage. But what about the strikeouts in the number 3-hole? 9 of his 12 strikeouts are when he's in the 3-hole. So that to me is a big thing to watch out for. Is it just a little thing here over the first couple of weeks? I would be more than happy that that's the case, that he figures it out. If he still hits 260, 270, I'm fine, just not the strikeouts, because that is infuriating, especially late in the game when you have runners on first and second and 1 or 2 outs, and you strike out with your middle of the lineup guys. That to me is one of the most infuriating things. And it's not just Pavin. If Josh Naylor were to do it, if Gino were to do it, if Gurriel were to do it, I'd still get pissed about it. and we've seen this with Gurriel since he's been here. The streakiest of hitter. Jesus. That man, when he's hot, he is literally, you cannot get him out. But when he is cold, could not hit water if he fell out of a damn boat. So Gurriel, for me, I think is the big one. Like, he really needs to step up because the 3-hole it's probably going to either be him or Pavin. Because I think he's going to keep Josh Naylor in the 4-hole. Josh Naylor's done fantastic so far. Like, outside of the couple defensive miscues, Josh Naylor has been really good. He's playing better than Christian Walker, by the way. Christian Walker is like 17 strikeouts and like 40 at-bats for Houston. So, and I know like there's a lot of fans that like don't like Naylor only because he's replacing Christian Walker. It was the same thing when Goldie left. Not a lot of people like Christian Walker because he's replacing a fan favorite. So one of them needs, someone needs to step up because I personally feel Ketel's not coming back. I'm hoping the way Tori said a series of weeks, I'm like, that's very unique. Like, definitely, like for me, it's probably May 1st to May 15th. If we get him back in that gap, I will be fine.
Yeah, and I think, kind of just a quick side note. Oh,
no, you're not. I hear you.
No? Yeah. Okay, then just a quick side note for
I can't hear you.
Pavin.
Brett, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Brett, speak, because I can't hear you.
Yeah, so we can hear you.
Yeah, no, I can't hear you either, Brett.
No.
Everyone that's watching, can everyone hear me? Can they hear Brett? Can they hear Gabe? So I'm not quite
Gabe,
sure.
all three of us are coming through on our end.
On here.
Yeah, so to say about in Pavin's case, he.
Yep, nope, the tab's not muted. I thought that might be the case.
The graphic.
Okay, let me jump out real quick.
Yeah, so I just want to talk about Pavin real quick. Just I don't want to be slamming on him the whole time, like obviously, but I think that graphic to show, and that's one that everyone keeps showing. Like, oh, so you guys are wrong. Look how great Pavin is. He had a 705 OPS in September. That 1,000 OPS comes from this season. It's just really, really small sample size and arbitrary number that they're coming up with to make him look a lot better than he is. And I do think it's going to even out. And we've seen this happen before. It happens to Pavin every single year he comes up. He has a really hot start and then pitchers figure him out and then he just can't adjust. So I'm hoping that's not true. But again, I would rather have power from that third spot just to be able to drive guys in. So even if it's Naylor's going to be striking out a lot, if Christian Walker is striking out a lot, they were hitting home runs, they were hitting doubles, and they're scoring a lot of runs. Like, as of right now, I don't think Pavin has 4 RBI. He's hit from the 3 spot in 8 games, and he has 4 RBI in the season. That's not a recipe for success, and you have to have a guy who has a 100 RBI type of season from that position, especially when you have Corbin Carroll leading off from there.
Yes, I still think that it could just be a little bit of a anomaly. But I mean, if this is the Pavin that we're gonna see, then like again, I'm okay with it. I do agree, still need a little more slug. Even the strikeouts, like I know what Brandon was saying, but I think that as long as he's putting up good at bats, like strikeouts are gonna happen to Ketel always struck out. Even Walker when he was here, he struck out a bunch. Like the strikeouts are gonna happen, but I do agree you got to have a little more slug. But I mean, we're still getting that so far. He has obviously so far a career high in slugging. Even last year in his 60 games, 137 at bats, he had a 547 slug. So far in his 30 ABs, he has a 667. The 486 on base is one of the the highest so far of his career. Again, very small sample sizes, but just if this is the kind of Pavin we're going to see, even if he has a 380, 400 on base and only like a 550 slug, I'm still going to be, more than happy with that. Maybe not as the 3-hole all year. Maybe we can get a little bit more, if Naylor can kind of, find that home run swing a little bit, maybe slot Naylor into that 3-hole. But again, like if it's working right now, I know Dean Kremer has struggled a little bit, which my goodness, Orioles get fleeced in that Manny Machado trade. I know that they're struggling, or he can struggle a little bit. But I think that overall, it's one of those where, again, if he can hit like this with Gurriel and Gino, kind of slumping the way they're slumping, I don't necessarily hate it as long as it's working. Again, if he starts to go to a singles only kind of guy, like singles and walking, basically turns into Geraldo Perdomo, just no switch hitting, then got to move him out of the 3-hole. But that'll be hopefully something that we don't have to deal with, because again, I would be more than happy to walk back all my shit talk about Pavin if this is the kind of Pavin Smith we're going to get. So moving on into game 2, where things actually got fun. The D-backs did win this game. Didn't start out that way looking like it. The D-backs in 6 straight games gave up a run in the first inning, as Merrill Kelly did surrender 2, but he looked really solid after that. He did end up going 6+ innings, or going into the 7th, I should say. Gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 runs total. 2 of them were earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on 89 pitches, 61 of them being strikes. He did retire. I believe it was it was 12 in a row. Retired would have been 13 if not for the misplay by Gino, which it was a hard hit ball. I'm not going to say it was necessarily an error, but it's a play that he probably usually makes. And then he was removed for a pitching change, which we'll get into that, because that was a very eventful 7th inning there. Just everything that was going down there was crazy. The D-backs starting pitchers, like I said, did give up a run in the first inning for the 6th straight game. The team, like we mentioned in the first game, with their runners in scoring position woes, they went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and I think that one was the Josh Naylor go-ahead double, which, again, he's been looking really nice. He's making Dalton Feely's prediction of the 40 doubles so far look really solid. Good pick. Dalton knows ball. No shocker. The crazy 7th inning that led to the Orioles getting one of the runs back, but a heads-up play by Geraldo Perdomo did end the threat. And then a quick rundown of the 7th inning for obviously anybody that you either missed it, maybe you guys only saw some of the highlights. Basically started with Cedric Mullins, a leadoff double. Then Merrill Kelly would have struck out Tyler O'Neill on a 2-2 count, but Laz Diaz must have been sleeping, must have been checking his FanDuel account, and not really paying attention to the game, as he called a clear check swing, strike 3, and no swing, which led to a walk, thus ending Merrill Kelly's day. He was not too happy about it. When he was walking up the mound, he was kind of giving Laz Diaz a little bit of guff, which it's just so funny to see a guy that's already taken out of the game get thrown out. It's literally the "oh, you can't quit on me because I fired you" energy from Laz Diaz. Torey Lovullo got his 2 cents in, and he really I think that's the maddest I've ever seen Torey Lovullo, and he actually got Torey chants from the crowd, which is crazy. Then after the 2 runners were on, Heston Kjerstad lined out. Then Gary Sanchez did get plunked by Shelby Miller. With 1 out, Jackson Merrill did line out to Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who made a stellar sliding grab, then immediately undid that stellar grab by getting up, doing a 360, and just saying "fucking yee," and just threw the ball to the backstop. Cedric Mullins did score, making it a 4-3 game, but Tyler O'Neill and the other runner did not, or Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez did not tag up. Domo did end up tagging Tyler O'Neill, and then after a little bit of discussion, the Orioles challenged the play. They thought the ball might have dropped and whatnot. It was confirmed, it was caught, and obviously O'Neill did not tag up. So the inning ended 4-3. AJ Puck stranded a runner on second base in the 8th inning, so he got out of a little jam. And then Justin Martinez, really nice 9th inning, put a runner on base, but then ended things with a ground ball double play to escape any kind of jam, lock down his second save of the season, and bring the D-backs losing streak to an end at 3 and winning the game 4-3. So obviously, we'll save the 7th inning for our second topic, but the first part we had here for game 2 was the return of the mainstay. Like I said, after giving up 2 runs in the first, he turned into his former self in the final 5 innings, shut the Orioles down, retiring 12 straight hitters at one point, and just looking really consistent, looking like the Merrill that we even talked about after that Cubs series about being one of the more underrated guys in the league. So my question to you guys, nothing super crazy, just like, what are you and your thoughts on Merrill the mainstay? Obviously, what was it that maybe he did to kind of adjust after that rough first inning? And then what do you think that we need to see from him going forward, like especially from the rotation not being as advertised with Gallen, Burns, and even Erod? What do we need to see from the mainstay going forward to have a little bit more confidence in either bringing him back, or at least just in general knowing that he's back to that like 2022, 2023 Merrill?
So it's probably his best start in quite a while. He hasn't done something like this, I think, since mid-September or so from last year. We just had to start like this, but this is what we've been wanting to see from Merrill. We've been wanting him to have this sort of outing where, yeah, sure, he gave up 2 runs right away, and we're kind of like, damn, like, are we really doing this again? But he settled in and he became vintage Merrill, and this is who vintage Merrill is. Like, he is. There's so many times where we've seen him, gives up 2 or 3 runs in the first inning. You're like, oh no, like, maybe we got to get some of the bullpen warmed up. Then he goes to throw out, 6, 7 shutout innings. You're like, oh, okay, never mind. Like, he adjusts, he finds ways to. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe he just stops throwing certain pitches. Maybe finds something within himself, even like to get back into rhythm, get back into the groove. Like, he didn't look the way he did in the last start, where he just looked confused. Weirdly enough, like, he just did not look like himself. He was not holding runners on. He was holding runners on this time. So anytime anybody got on first, he was checking them. He was throwing to first. He didn't let people steal and run train on him like he did the last time. Like, he was on it. He was focused, and that's kind of what we wanted to see out of him. I would be curious to see the same thing we said with Gallen. What does the next start do? What does he do in the next start? Is this who he's going to be for the rest of the season? Or is he going to be more of a, again, Jekyll and Hyde, like a guy's going to give up, 4 runs in 5 innings? But so far, point is, just give this team a chance and give this team a chance, even with the struggling offense. He gave his team a chance to win, and he looked great doing it. And yeah, we can get to that that 7th inning later. But yeah, Merrill looked great, and Merrill throughout his whole D-backs career has ended losing streaks, and he started winning streaks, and that's what he did yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah, definitely the mainstay of old. It was nice to see him bounce back from that that career worst start against the Yankees, where he just turned into Nestor Cortez, but from the right side. Brandon, same question to you. Is there anything that maybe stuck out to you as to why Merrill kind of bounced back after that first inning? Even Josh saying in the comments, I think we need to re-examine the prep and warm up of our starters before the game because they all have a common issue. And again, that is a good point. That it just
I was
seems
gonna get into that actually.
Oh, perfect. Then say what are your thoughts on that, and then also just general, like, what do we need to see from Merrill going forward to be a little bit more confident in him, knowing that he's back to his former self.
It was so great to see this. I was at this game, so had 7th inning. I was so confused. But I will get into that later. But no, like, they needed this start from Merrill. Like, they just needed, like, there's a reason he's called the mainstay, because they know most of the time when he goes out there, he's gonna give them at least 5 innings. And yes, he didn't do that against the Yankees, but he did do it in his first start of the year, and he did it in this one. He balanced his pitching so well in this. Like, he threw 89 pitches, 23 changeups, 20 cutters, 18 four-seamers, 14 sinkers, 9 curveballs, and 5 sliders. So, like, he really had the Orioles on their toes throughout the entire game. Like, outside that first inning, like, I know at that point we're like, again, because that was 6 straight games of our starters giving up runs in the first inning, and we're like that doesn't help the offense. Like, they're already behind the 8 ball to start. Like, it was very frustrating. Merrill in the post game really kind of brought something up that, like, really clicked in my mind. Is it? They are slow rolling their starters, and they have for the last few years. Like, Merrill really brought it up and said, like, they don't really get into the groove until their 3rd or 4th start, because in spring they go 2 innings, 3 innings. Like, they don't go a full, like, outing in spring training. So, like, they really don't get ramped up until the regular season. And I think we're seeing that so far this year, that does not work. And it didn't work last year because they had a very slow April last season as well. Like, they really need to look back and think, all right, maybe we need to rethink on how we want to get guys ready for the start of the season. So this made me very pleased to see Merrill, because we have someone in our Discord that thinks Merrill is like one of the worst starting pitchers in all of baseball. Thinks that we should, like, move on from him now. And I was like, I don't know if you're serious or you're trolling, because he said this during the offseason too.
Yes, I mean at times, especially after the Yankee start, I could maybe think the track or the track that the thought process is on, but definitely not worth giving him up because he has a game like this where you're like, yeah, that's why you keep him on the squad. Do bring up a good point about the guys kind of getting slow rolled into the season. Maybe that does kind of lead into them taking a little bit to find their groove. It could very much be. It could just generally be maybe they are off. Everybody has an off day, especially pitchers. I know in high school and stuff like that, it's very different. But there were times where I'm like, dude, holy shit! Like I cannot throw a fastball or a curveball or a changeup to save my life. I have to lean on these other pitches, or even just in general, like I just don't feel good out there. So I imagine MLB pitchers kind of have the same things that they go through. Just sometimes they are a little bit off, and then who knows, maybe they just kind of lock in a little bit. After getting out in the mound and getting into game speed, because warm-ups and bullpens are way different than actual game speed, and it could just take the actual like getting through it and getting into it. So going into the second topic and the main thing that was here that was I feel like took up more than most of the rest of the game was that insane top of the 7th inning, just absolute bonkers. Obviously from the last Diaz missed clear check swing strike 3. Merrill and Torrey getting ejected, which led to our wonderful thumbnail that our man Josh cooked up of think. And then even in our Discord, I believe, I'm forgetting the name of them, but they made a funny meme where it's like, what's 17 more ejections? I can always manage again. Like if you guys have seen Invincible, it's fucking hilarious. But yeah, Torrey was definitely the most fired up I've ever seen. And I'm very excited for the John Boy breakdown on that because I definitely need to see what Torrey's talking about. So from the missed check swing to both Torrey and Merrill being tossed to the insane ending in the 7th inning, obviously Lourdes Gurriel's crazy throw, but the heads up play by Domo. What was just the craziest thing out of all of it? Because there was a lot going on, but I'm curious if there's one thing that stuck out to you as being the crazier thing, or maybe just in general the whole thing itself.
Just the whole thing itself, like for me, it's the umpires. They were sleeping the entire inning. Just the first base umpire, right? It was the first base umpire completely missed the check swing. Like we could see it on TV where you're like, he clearly went. We saw the entire logo and the other side of the bat. How the hell did he miss that? Was he just asleep? And then you see the side view and it's like a complete 360 swing. Like it's crazy how bad that was. And so that just ended up ending Merrill's night. And so from what I could tell, like he just said that was terrible. That was terrible. That's it. I'm like, I don't have, all those like 57 angles that John Boy does, but literally like he was walking off the mound, looked back and just said that was terrible. That was a terrible call. And he got thrown out for that, which is ridiculous. Like you have to have, thicker skin than that. Like the Orioles broadcast said too. Like at that point, just walk, like the umpire has to walk away. Like why escalate? Why not just be like, yeah, I missed it. Like you missed it. It was your fault. You missed this play. And of course there's no repercussion. Just like with the police, they can mess up as much as they want. It doesn't matter. But the entire inning just unraveled from there. And then again, even Orioles fans had issues with the fact that they also got screwed by the umpires. The umpires didn't call safer out when they get the fly out. They didn't. There's 4 umpires out there, and none of them saw Gurriel catch the ball. That's crazy to me. And it was a little bit difficult, but it wasn't like it bounced or anything. I'm like, how do they not? At least maybe one of them can make a call, and then you adjust, and then you can say, oh well, you called it safe or out, whatever it was, and then you can adjust. And then so none of them called it, and then it was just a whole mess. And then like a 10-minute review. I'm like, do you really need 10 minutes to review this? It was clear as day, and it's just all these umpires, like Brett said, they need to get their FanDuels checked out.
Yes, I know Little League umpiring is very different, but that's like the day one thing when you're down there is you pay attention. And it even happened to me back in the league umpiring. Like my first ever game, I'm sitting there checking my indicator, not a clicker by the way. That's a tangent I can go on. The fucking thing that keeps ball strikes outs. It's not called a clicker, it's an indicator. But kid check swung, they went down to me at third base, and I genuinely was not paying attention. So instead of calling the kid strike 3 and potentially being wrong, I just went with nope, I didn't see it. So I'm calling it not a swing. So that's my guess is Laz just generally was not paying attention.
Look at this. Jesus freaking guys.
It's super unfortunate because there is no technical definition in the rule book as what a check swing is. And we even saw, obviously, the automated ball strike. That's super nice. The technology is, I'd say 95% there, but it's definitely not there for check swings because even in the fall league, seeing what they were calling a check swing, that right there definitely would not have been a check swing on the review. They would have called that a no swing. So it's unfortunate there's no concrete rule, but at least in the way that we're taught at like umpire schools, you're looking for the wrist breaking. Like if the wrist, any kind of, going forward like this, like any motion or the wrist like actually in like that, that's what he did 100%. And it was 100% a swing, but apparently Laz Diaz missed it. But I agree with Gabe. It was just probably the umpires not paying attention is, I think, the craziest thing. But Brandon, I'm curious to you, like I said, with the missed call, Merrill and Torrey both getting ejected, Torrey being a little bit more vocal, the Gurriel, fucking crazy ass throw straight to the backstop, or the, heads up play by Doman. What was the craziest thing overall from that wild and wacky seventh inning?
This right. How is Tyler O'Neill 10 feet from third base if Gurriel caught the ball? That's the thing that was blowing my mind. How they did not even, took them that long to figure out, oh yeah, Tyler O'Neill didn't catch up, tag up. That's the thing. I rewatched, so I was at the game, and I couldn't tell what the hell had happened. I was so confused. As soon as Gurriel threw, I'm like, oh Jesus. I'm like, that's freaking 2 runs right there. Because I couldn't tell if he caught it because I was by the Dbacks bullpen there in left field, so I couldn't see if the ball, if he trapped it or if he caught it or not. And what was interesting is during the whole challenge process, Gurriel is the only one on the field looking at the jumbotron to see, because he felt so bad because he it's a very Patrick Mahomes, somebody's out there, I'm just gonna chuck it and hopefully someone gets it. That is exactly what that play was. But no, the fact that all 4 umpires took 10 minutes on that, that is, not only is that bad for the 4 umpires there, it's bad for the guys in New York that are reviewing this. The only thing I can think of is that they couldn't get a clear angle that was synced up to see where both guys were when Gurriel caught the ball. Because I'm pretty sure they were able to figure out Gurriel caught that ball pretty easily. Well, not easily, but it's very clear that he made the catch. But then they had to figure out. It wasn't
a trap.
Yeah, but it was they had to figure out where were all the runners at the time of the catch. So, but this is so what is this?
I love Gino just standing there, just pointing up, he's just pointing just straight up in the air. That's so goddamn funny to me, man. I love it.
Just absolutely ridiculous. And then this freaking thing, what blows my mind on that Tyler O'Neill check swing, and I love Torrey's. Torrey is this is not just what happened in the 7th inning. This is what has happened in the season so far. He's just letting it all out at this point because there's only so much that he can do from his spot. When the team tells players the game plan and hitting approaches, there's only so much that they can tell them, and I think that's what he's getting frustrated, is that the team's just not executing. So it's out of his hands. And we saw in game 3 exactly what happened when they execute. We really saw what happened. Torrey's been ejected quite a bit. He has that one ejection every now and then where things have just been so bad, and he's just you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna go get tossed, and because I'm so angry. So yeah, that might be the craziest play that I've ever seen live in person.
Yeah, and I think
sport.
Honestly, the only thing I can think of why it took so long was just the Orioles manager as well, kind of maybe he was frustrated, like I mentioned earlier, about the fact that they didn't call that it was a catch or not. So he has a point in that hey, like nobody called anything. If he caught it or didn't catch it, and also was it bases loaded or was it 2 men on?
Bases loaded.
Bases loaded.
Bases
So
loaded.
they all had to move or they all had to stay. And when there's none of the 4 umpires calling anything, that's a problem. And so I can see it from the Orioles' perspective, saying like, "Hey, no one said anything. How are we supposed to know that you guys aren't making a call or not? If you guys call safe or out, like that's we can't move. Like, what do they expect everyone to just stay in the middle of the base path just in case something gets caught or not? Like, it was just a mess overall, and it just really needs to get fixed up by MLB."
Yes, a shout out to Tori for having the control, because I know some managers can get a little bit animated in that, and they make contact with the umpire, whether it's like them like tapping on their chest, making a point, or like accidentally bumping them. He was like, "Nope, I'm not touching you. You can't find me. Fuck you. I'm getting my thoughts in." Like he obviously was keeping the space there, but he was definitely getting very vocal with Laz Diaz, which was
Yeah,
nice to
he's
see.
what, like 6, like a foot, like just eye to eye.
Yeah, that was an absolute blast. And again, shout out our producer Josh for making the banger thumbnail, because that is one of the first things I thought of too, was that Invincible meme. But moving on, obviously, Game 3, the rubber match of the series. D-backs were looking to win their second series of the season, and they did just that. And it was not even a close one. They beat the fuck out of the Orioles and Dean Kremer in a score of 9-0. Brandon Pfaadt was fantastic in 6 innings of work. Ended the streak of runs allowed in the first inning by D-back starters. So shout out Brandon, big game Brandon. True day one Pfaadt believers and ball knowers arise. 1 through 4 hitters in this game were absolutely fucking bonkers. They carried this offense. Corbin Perdomo, Smith, and Naylor combined to go 11 for 17 with 4 home runs, 1 home run from each of them, 7 runs scored, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. The team itself didn't really, kind of affect the game overall, but they still did go 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, so some missed opportunities could have been even more than 9 runs. Jake McCarthy, round of applause for Jake. Shout out Jake. Did end his hitless streak to start the year. I believe he was 0 for 25 when he got that double in the 5th. So shout out him. Jalen Beeks stays clapping cheeks. He went 2 innings with no hits, no walks, no strikeouts. His ERA at the season is now at 0.96 in 9 1/3 innings started, or 9 1/3 innings out of the bullpen. So topic 1, obviously the reason why the offense was able to kind of cook and get comfortable and continue to go back into the dugout and get some swings on Dean Kremer was because Brandon Pfaadt. He, like I said, he went 6 innings, no runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, and only 3 strikeouts on 93 pitches, with the 55 of them being strikes. He did have 10 whiffs on the day, which is nice. My question to you guys, everybody else in chat as well, I always want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. At times, it seems like Pfaadt can, hunt the strikeouts a little bit more, which, if he's not fully locked in with this pinpoint, can lead to him giving up more home runs. Maybe he tries to get a little bit cute with like, oh, I'm going to backdoor a sinker. It's going to be perfect. But then, leaves it over the middle of the plate instead of pitching to contact. So my question to you guys and everything is, should Brandon try to focus more on, pitching to contact and getting outs, or should he still try to stay aggressive and try to get that swing and miss as much as possible? Because we know when he is fully locked in and his controls there, that swing and miss. And obviously, even on a day where he only had 3 strikeouts, he still had 10 whiffs.
So I think he should still focus of throwing the ball in the zone. Maybe not so much get strikeouts, but throw the ball in the zone, because that's where he has success. Once he starts nibbling, that's when he starts walking guys, and then that's usually when you get the big home run, and he gives up 3 runs easily. But the main thing with Pfaadt is just the fact that he's been unlucky throughout his career. Go look at his ERA from last year and go look at his FIP. It's an entire run of difference. That doesn't happen. Usually the FIP is a little bit higher, sometimes half a run, sometimes even an entire run, higher than the actual ERA. But with him, it's the opposite, and it's just stuff that we saw last year. He would get an easy ground ball, and then they would, either boot it, make an error, or it would be a fielder's choice. And so, he would give up a home run, and then at that point, it would count against him. It would be 2 runs instead of just maybe just a solo home run or being out of the inning. So that fielding, independent pitching, I think that's why he also got the contract that he did. A lot of people were questioning it, like, oh, how's a 4.5 ERA guy getting it? But it's because this team knows a lot of it's not his fault. He
Use your eyes and watch.
He pitches to contact. He throws a lot of strikes, and he's stays in the zone, and at times that can get him trouble with certain teams like who are ready to attack. And the Orioles are a good team. Like that's something to remind yourself. Like they have a good offense. They're scuffling right now, but they do have a really good, powerful offense. And with Fott, the main thing I noticed from this start that I didn't notice from last year is the fastball. The movement on that fastball, on that two-seamer was ridiculous and has been throughout the season. I think that's why he's had so much more success compared to other years. It's just the movement on the fastball. It's not as straight as it was before or flat. And I think that's when they would just hit home runs off of him because it would just go straight down the zone. Even if it hit the corners, it was still very straight. And this one, he got guys dodging out of the way. He was snatching souls with that two-seamer. And I think going forward, I think that's going to be the main key to success.
I think you make some great points there, especially with the fielding independent pitches and kind of like, looking a little bit more deeper into the numbers and actually watching the game and not just being, which again, I think we all at times can be a little bit more, box score, just stats are great, but sometimes it's nice to see, the actual video and the footage and the physically what's going on behind those stats. But Brandon, same question to you, my good sir. With him seeming to, sometimes at times like hunt those strikeouts, do you think that he should focus more on, even like Gabe was saying, pitching in the zone and pitching to contact, getting those outs? Or are you kind of on the same page as our man Tanner in the comments here? As Tanner saying, I think he needs to be swing and miss. Are you on the same page as him and thinking that he should still try to focus and hunt for those strikeouts when he can?
Just get the outs. Like, if he wants to do what he just did in this start, 6 innings, 4 hits, but only 3 strikeouts, I'm fine with that. Like, I know that's not what a lot of good young starting pitchers are. Like, they are strikeout guys. Paul Skeens, for example, George Kirby, Gilbert, also from like, it's all about getting the strikeouts. But for me, sometimes I feel like if he goes to hunt for the strikeouts, that's when he can somewhat be hard hit a little bit. So I'd rather not, because it gets frustrating because you will see him give up those freaking tanks. He'll have like a homer in the 2nd inning, and then you blink, and next thing you know, it's the 6th inning, and he's set down like 10 in a row. Like, that's what is so amazing about Fott, is he does not get rattled. He just shrugs it off and just moves to the next guy. Like, I know that a lot, like last year, everyone was saying that Nelson was our best pitcher in the second half, but I think our best pitcher last year was Brandon Fott, because he went out there day in, every 5th day. He made all 32 starts last year, which is a really big thing. So for me with Fott, I'm fine with soft contact. Like, if he doesn't get the strikeouts, I'm not going to be mad, because if he gets the soft contact, next thing you know, he's only given up 2 runs in 6 innings. Like, a quality start. Like, that's what I want. I want quality starts. I don't care if you have strikeouts. I really don't. Because having a lot of strikeouts doesn't always lead to a win. Because you'll know, like, there's a lot of guys that hunt for strikeouts. Blake Snell, for me, is a prime example of that. He'll have 100 pitches through 5 innings. Like, I don't want that, because that's going to tax your bullpen. So for me, it's soft contact, get us to the 6th, get it to the 7th, where we have a shot at winning the game. Because this offense, when they're clicking like they did in this game, it don't matter what Font did.
Yes, a big key to, I think, his game obviously is getting the swing and miss is key, but I think sometimes if he is a little bit wild, like you said yourself, or like both of you guys said, if he's leading to, a little bit wild, which leads to those walks, which he is susceptible to giving up home runs. I'd rather him give up a home run being a solo shot than, a 2-3, even like a grand slam. Like, I'd rather limit the runners that he has on base and, pitch a little bit more to contact, because some pitchers give up a little bit more home runs than others. That's just part of some guys' games. But I'd rather him, go deeper into games, because it does save the bullpen a little bit. It does, it does obviously build up the arm strength a little bit and give him a little bit more, experience, and I think rolls into the season to having some better success. But kind of like you said there at the end there, Brandon, when the offense is clicking here the way they have been clicking, it doesn't really matter if he's getting strikeouts or not because they have been absolutely killing it. And a big part of that, especially in this game, obviously, like I said, the 1 through 4, all 4 of those guys were just killing it with each one of them getting a home run. Pavin and Naylor getting their first home runs of the season. Pavin's being a splashdown into the pool, and Josh Naylor's being kind of a little golf shot, which for some it is a little weird with Pavin. It seems like he never really fully connects with it. Like he swings at that, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like a double or a fly ball, but no, that one was right into the hot tub there. Josh Naylor, literally the very next pitch, he went yard there. But the big guy, or big guy is a funny way to put it because he's one of the smallest guys in the team. But one of the big names, and that's been kind of carrying this team a little bit, especially with Cattell gone. Obviously, we saw game 1 against the Nationals. He had 2 home runs. Was probably the main reason why they won that game. I know Grichuk had the two-run double, but it wasn't for Corbin Carroll's 2 home runs there. And then even what he's been doing so far in this series, like 2 home runs against the Orioles, he has been just looking insanely solid. After his 2-for-4 performance with a home run and a walk on Wednesday, his season slash line is now sitting at 320 with a 424 on base and a 740 slug. So his OPS in 50 at-bats is sitting at a 1.164. He has 4 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, 6 walks, and 12 strikeouts. He has a 215 WRC plus. 100 is average. So 100 is average. 100 is like, all right, you know what? You're a major league hitter. You're doing your job. And he has a 215 WRC plus. So he is over two times greater than even what the average hitter is going to be. And the craziest thing is he already is over 1.2 WAR, and he has a 1.2 B WAR and a 1.3 F WAR. So in just 14 games, he's already putting up a 1 more season. Looks like he's on track to put up. I saw a couple of people in Discord saying that he's on track to put up like around 12 to 14. Obviously, he's not going to probably put up like that. I don't think we've seen anything like that other than like Bonds and Trout, and like even back in the day when they retroactively used WAR to calculate some stats from guys like Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle. Don't think we're going to see a 11, 12, 13 plus WAR kind of season, but I do think that at this rate, an 8 plus WAR, maybe even a 7 plus WAR is definitely feasible and definitely possible. But my question to you gentlemen, as long as everyone else in the chat, I feel like it might be a little obvious, but do we fully start the Corbin Carroll MVP campaign and all-star starter campaign, or is it still just a little too early and we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves?
I don't think it's too early just because of who he is. I think if this was a guy who never had this sort of success, at that point we could be like, well, it's too early. The teams are going to adjust and then he's going to struggle. What we saw from Corbin's rookie year until he had that weird shoulder thing, and then he wasn't quite the same, but he did still have an amazing rookie season. He struggled last year, and a lot of people said it was mostly due to the shoulder thing, but it just wasn't that. His swing was just incredibly flat, and so he just had no power. A lot of the balls were hit on the ground, and he adjusted, had a great August, won the Player of the Month, and Oscar saying Volpe for MVP. That's kind of like what the point is here. Is just the delusion of some fans, and I'm talking about Oscar, but Yankee fans, they'll call anybody on their team MVP. But yeah, I don't think it's too early for Corbin. I think he's putting up a solid year this year. He already has a 1 WAR. Obviously, teams are going to adjust, and he's going to have to adjust back. And with this new swing, we haven't seen teams adjust to him just yet. So I'd be curious to see when and if how much he struggles once pitchers adjust and once there's more data out on this swing. But yeah, he's looked incredible. Like the first thing that I've been thinking about, I know people comparing to, the new Shohei Ohtani or even Kevin Youkilis swing, but every time I see him now, I'm like, that's Ken Griffey Jr. Not so much because of his swing, but because of the power he has, the speed, and even the defense, like the arm. Somehow has a 94, 95 percentile arm this year. It's been a lot of times he's dug the ball out of the fence and he just throws it into second base without even a short hop.
No more noodle, yeah.
And so I don't know what he did. I'd be curious to know. Doesn't seem like anybody has really asked him that, and who knows if Corbin would even answer, just because of how private he is and how much he downplays himself. But I'd be curious to see did he go to Driveline or whatever it is that the pitchers go to fix their pitching mechanics? did he do something like that to fix that mechanics issue that he had? Because with how strong he is short, but how strong he should have had a great arm this whole time, and it was weird that he didn't. And now we're seeing this year that he has a great arm suddenly. So I'd be curious to see like what sort of mechanical issues he had before that prevented him from having a great arm. And yeah, I think it might as well start the MVP campaign. He has better numbers than a lot of the guys, and I know they're starting to do an MVP campaign for Churio, so I have more trust in Corbin and Churio so far.
Yeah, he's off to an insane start. Like, just I know sometimes Baseball Reference or Baseball Savant numbers and the red on the page can be, a little misleading, but my fucking God, I just sent it in the chat. Looking at some of his numbers, he's disgusting. He's in the 99th percentile for batting run value. He's in the 100th percentile for expected weighting of on base percentage. 98th percentile for expected batting average, 99 for expected slugging. So he's not even really just getting lucky. He's fucking killing the ball. 97 percentile for average exit velocity at 96 miles an hour. So he is making such insanely hard contact. Barreling the ball up at a 21.1% clip. Hard hit percentage over 50, well over 50 at 63.2. He's getting the sweet spot on the ball, and he's not even using a torpedo bat. He's in the 87th percentile. Bat speed, 74 miles an hour, 74.7 on the speed is insane. Obviously, like I said, I feel like barrel percentage and square percentage can sometimes be the same, but he's still a solid in there. A little bit below average on the chase percentage and whip percentage, but if he's making the contact that he is when he's doing it, is insane. He's still over average on the strikeout and walk percentage. So it just seems like sometimes he, even if he's swinging early in the count and he's missing, he's making contact later because he is not striking out. And he's making some really solid plays. And even like you said with his arm value, he's in the 92nd percentile when it comes to arm value. And the arm strength hasn't fully calculated in here, but still, like, I do agree. His arm looks a lot better. It seems like he's done a little bit of work. I'm not sure what it is, but he's just improved on aspects of his game. It's still super weird seeing his stance because, again, I'm still so used to his little like bat wiggle with his hips. Seeing it now like in front, like here, is very strange. But if it leads to the kind of numbers we're seeing from Corbin, I'm okay with it. And I do agree. Start up the campaign, All-Star game starter. The second we get the voting open, let's go fucking stuff those ballots, baby. Vote, use every email you can 5 times every single day from every single email. Let's make him the highest vote getter because if he's doing this, he needs to outpace Shohei Ohtani. I don't give a shit. But Brandon, same question to you. Do we fully start the Corbin Carroll MVP and All-Star game starter campaign right now? Or do you think it's a little bit too early and we got to, while still being excited about it, maybe pump our brakes just a little bit?
Vegas has already started because he got moved to second place for future odds for NL MVP. He was 12th like a week ago. So Vegas is seeing it too. Like, because he was behind like anyone you can think of. It was like Shohei, Soto, Tatis, Tucker, Betts, Harper, Churio, Ellie, and like Lindor. Corbin is now second behind Shohei. So Vegas is noticing, as we all should. What's so crazy about this hot start? He's not even running on the bases, which is probably his best skill offensively, is that speed. We've seen it a few times already this season where it's like, oh, that's a single. Nope. Corbin just freaking turns it on and makes it a double. He has 5 homers this season. Do you guys know when he hit his 5th homer last year?
After the All-Star break, a game like 100.
July 13th against Toronto, game 96. How insane! Like he's just continuing this ridiculous tear that he was on the second half of last season. It's so insane. And you brought it up. He already has a 1 WAR. That's insane. And that's without any stealing. So if he continues at this pace that he's on with the hitting, with the doubles, with the homers, you add in the steals too. He just needs to keep doing this. We all love what. This team is just more exciting when Corbin Carroll is being Corbin Carroll. There's a reason why they signed him to an extension after seeing him play in the majors for like 30 games. Mike Hazen's like, I cannot let this kid go. I cannot let this kid go. Which I think that they did it between 22 and 23, right? Or was it? Yeah.
I believe it was after his rookie year when he got called up in 22, and before the season started on that World Series.
Like this pace in 11 WAR season, any year that's an MVP. Any year, or any league that doesn't have Shohei Ohtani. So
yeah, that's why earlier this year when we talked about predictions, I said a 40-70 season for Corbin, just because I feel like he could have that sort of 40 power, and he's probably on pace to pass that. But obviously, the way averages work, he probably won't. But 40-70, as long as he starts stealing again, it's very doable.
He's not going to need to steal if he's either jogging around the bases every time or getting to second and third. Because he is using his speed when he needs to. Obviously, the leadoff triple against the Nationals in that Sunday game. Just in general, I agree with Tanner in the comments saying I could see 40. Because I feel like to get to 70, he would have needed. I mean, you've seen players go on crazy runs. Maybe if he gets a few more walks and does start running wild on the bases, definitely could get there. But I do think that a 40-40 season is definitely at least doable. Who knows? Maybe if he does get a little hot streak, 50-50. Fuck it. Second member of the 50-50 club, okay?
Doing it back-to-back years. Oh my god.
That'd be insane. Could you imagine? And then
we need him to continue to do this for at least the next 30 days.
Yeah.
Definitely
need him to carry the load. Be like he's like Samwise Gamgee in the pause. He's like Samwise Gamgee, Lord of the Rings. Looking at Frodo, he's like, Mr. Frodo, share the load. He needs to offer the ring. He needs to he needs to take the ring, okay? And he's gonna carry because Cattell can't walk himself, okay? He's throwing Cattell and the Dbacks on his back. He's taking them up Mountain Doom, taking them to the promised land, baby. Let's go. Sorry, I had to get the Lord of the Rings reference.
The thing that just blows my mind is a 1 WAR after a weekend at 2 weeks. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't think he got to 1 WAR until because obviously he had such a terrible start last year. He was in the negative for a while. I don't think he got to 1 WAR until around maybe August. Because he finished, I think, with a 2 or 3 WAR, and a lot of that I think was carried by his crazy August and September, late August and then end of season stretch. Because he still hit 20 home runs or just under that. I'm honestly while we're here, let me if you guys have any other thoughts on Corbin and whatnot, I'm gonna do some investigating. At least I'm gonna go to FanGraphs. I'm gonna look up his numbers and the splits tool from September of last year to now, or actually I'll do August.
Yeah,
so
I think
he struggled again in August. He didn't do as great, but I believe he had 15 home runs in August alone, and 15 of the 22 came in August. So if he continues this sort of stretch, like I said, eventually teams are going to adjust. It's just up to him to adjust back. But again, I don't think it's too early to start an MVP campaign for him. And, he had this sort of season in 23 as well, where it was him and Acuna back to back, just both of them trading 3-4 hit games with home runs, and eventually he cooled off a little bit more than Acuna did. Acuna just kept going until he actually won the MVP. But I can see it happening. If
15 in August and September,
yeah. So if we get to the end of the year and he has that 11 WAR, I wouldn't be shocked at all. We haven't even, like I said, he has over a 1 WAR. He hasn't even started stealing yet. So what is that WAR? What is everything else going to look like when he actually starts stealing?
What is it good for? Corbin Carroll MVP campaign. Sorry.
Yeah.
Even going back to July 1st, 7-1 of 2024, and that is a span of 88 games. So in 88 games, a little over half a season, he has 25 bombs. He has 59 RBI. Last year to end the season, he was hitting 250 from July on with a 339 on base and a 549 slug. So we still had an 889 OPS, a WRC plus of 139. And obviously this year, like I said, the 424, 740 for an 1164 OPS and the 215 WRC plus. He's hitting the ball a lot harder last year from July 1st on, he had a hard hit percentage at 39.1. He's up to 47.4. Like his soft contact percentage is down around 3%. His medium contact is down around like 6%. So he is squaring up the ball. And he's even the craziest thing about this, last year from July to end of the season, his line drive percentage was at 13.1. He's at a 28.9, more than double the line drive percentage. He's already knocked off a couple percentage on the ground balls. The pole, like he's hitting the ball kind of up the middle a little bit more. He's still roughly hitting the same pull percentage, around 3% more. He's going up the middle at around 7% more, and he's going opposite field around, a 9% more. So he's definitely a little more pull happy. Obviously, all of his home runs have gone to right field, but dude, we're seeing some elite numbers from Corbin Carroll so far to start the year, and kind of even going back to last year. Like I said, in 88 games, he hit 25 bombs. So if you put that over an entire season, you're looking at easily, 40 home runs just from Corbin alone.
So I will say this. So if we take so far in his 2 seasons, he's averaging like just under 600 at bats in a season. He's at 50 right now. So let's that's like 10%. So that's on pace for just under 50 bombs, which is insane to think about for a person of Corbin's size. Like if you haven't seen Corbin play and you look at him, you're like, yeah, that's probably like a singles guy. Like he does not look like he has, like he is not 6'4", 6'5" like Shohei or Judd. Like he's not a big guy. But the fact, like, that's just crazy to me. Like which is very hard to do to keep up this level of production over basically 150, 160 games. But I want to see it so bad. Like
Me too.
Like it just feels like a lot of his hits are like barrels. Like he's just making solid contact. And like there's been numerous outs that you're like, yeah, that probably would have killed the person if they didn't have the glove. Like he's had a lot of hard hits too. Hard hit for outs. So yeah, and it'd be great to have our first MVP in franchise history.
I need it. I need it like I need my asthma medication. And we'll have to monitor through the rest of the season, especially if he's hitting like this. Then we're gonna be all over socials pushing that MVP campaign, and like I said, stuff in the ballot boxes. But moving on to a little bit of a series preview. Obviously, like I said, the D-backs did take this one over the Orioles, 2-3. We do have a pretty tough matchup coming into Chase Field, as the Milwaukee Brewers are really solid so far. They have been hitting and playing just a lot better overall, which has been, good for them after the start that they had, but not good for us, as we're catching them probably at a time we did not want to catch them. Tomorrow night's game 1 on Friday night. The Brewers do not have a set starter yet. It does say to be decided. So we will see who they're throwing on the mound, but we do have Eduardo Rodriguez going up there, 0-1 with a 6.10 ERA in the season, obviously trying to follow up his 12 strikeout performance. Erod strikeouts go Burr. Saturday for the bobblehead game, which again, get there early. It'll go fast. It's going to be Chad Patrick, who is 1-0 with a 2.45 ERA in the season, up against Corbin Burns, making his, I'm not sure if it's his first start against the Brewers. I think it's his second start, because I think he might have played them last year. But either way, going up against Corbin Burns, the former Brewer, who is 0-1 with the 5.79 ERA. Hopefully he bounces back a little bit and gives us his first, prime Corbin Burns outing that we've been expecting. And then Sunday, getaway day there. Should be a pretty good pitching matchup. We have Freddie Peralta, who is 1-1 with a 2 ERA. He's really bounced back after his opening day, where he kind of got knocked around a little bit by the Yankees, going up against Zach Gallen, who is 1-2 with a 5.28 ERA. So obviously looking at the pitching matchups, looking at the lineups, I know even Gabe mentioned earlier, Jackson Churio is hitting really solid as of late. He's on, I think, like a solid 10-something game hitting streak that might have been snapped, but either way, he's playing really well. Yelich has hit a couple bombs here and there. Is there anything that you guys are keeping your eye on with the Brewers? Is there any predictions that you guys have for the series in a whole? And what do you guys think is going to be the outcome as we get together again on Sunday to discuss the review for the Brewers series?
I think this series is kind of up in the air just due to the fact of the starting pitching. The three guys who are going up are the most inconsistent and probably worst starting pitching currently. It was currently that we have. Our best and most consistent guys are Merrill Kelly and Brandon Pfaadt. So having Erod, who had a weird stat line of like 12, 13 strikeouts and 5 runs, and Corbin Burns hasn't had an actual good outing. Zach Gallen, one good outing between 2 bad ones. Like, we need some consistency from these guys, and that's what I'm hoping for. So they could all come out. I'm not expecting Cy Young candidate numbers from them, but 5-6 innings, couple runs, just give this team a chance to win. And so far, they haven't really. But I want to see that. That's the main thing I want to see. And same with the Brewers. It's just, I feel like it's kind of up in the air, and I can see this series going other way. And I feel like it's going to be one of those series where it's going to be one big play that decides each game.
I definitely need the defense to be on point. The Brewers have a decently potent offense that can, kind of put up runs at any point in the game. So need the defense and the pitching to be as on point as we possibly can. And even as Brandon said earlier, with the slow rolling of the pitching, hopefully this is the next go around where we see some of these guys, kind of lock in. We saw it with Merrill and Merrill and Fott. Hopefully we see it with these next three. I don't know why I said like that. Brandon, same thing to you. Is there any, predictions, anything you're looking out for in particular as we get ready to host the Brewers for a 3-game series here at Chase Field?
So Corbin Burns isn't the only one who's facing his former team this weekend. Chad Backtrip. Do you guys know how the Brewers got
that's
Chad?
why that name was familiar. I thought so.
Freaking James Peterson trade. Like, that's who we gave up. And he was 14-1 in AAA last year. 24 starts, 136 innings, 145 strikes. Like, he's not someone to scoff at. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 6 innings, 4 hits against us, because that's just how we are. Corbin needs to have we need a quality start out of Corbin here. Like, before the Merrill start, like, everyone was freaking out about the starting pitching. I was like, I want to see 4 full runs through the starting rotation. I want to give these guys like 4 solid starts, because I feel like that's probably how long it's going to take for them to kind of ramp up and be ready. We saw it with Kelly this round. We saw it with Pfaadt this round. We saw it with Gallen in his second start. So I'm hoping Corbin Burns just being in front of the home crowd. That place is going to be packed on Saturday because of the Geno bobblehead. And Saturday games usually are really well-attended games as well. So I think that place is going to be very excited to see our $200 million fifth in the rotation starting pitcher. Gallen, I just have a solid bounce back. And Erod, just don't have a bad first inning. Like, just like, if you want to go do 12 strikeouts on your freaking changeup, because his changeup against the Nats was just unhittable.
It was disgusting. And I feel like last year, because of Jordan Montgomery, he definitely didn't get as much maybe like attention as a lot of fans deserved. So he definitely needs to have a little bit of a solid start, or we're going to be talking about potentially another Dbacks pitcher that we just gave money to and just is terrible. But any final thoughts from you gentlemen? Obviously, I know like you give some like thoughts and predictions for the Brewers thing, but anything that, maybe from this Orioles series that we didn't touch on, or anything else that you meant to bring up that you want to get out in the open now before we call it an evening here?
Yeah, I just want to kind of, I guess, call out the Orioles ownership. Like, I've been seeing everywhere online them blaming their GM, Mike Elias, for not making the right moves or making as many moves, because I think it came out that they offered 180 for 4 years to Corbin Burns. Dbacks offered him over like $26 million more. I'm sorry, but it's not Mike Elias. It's the ownership group. The ownership group, since taking over 2 years ago in 2023, I think, they haven't done anything. As soon as Peter Angelos passed away, Peter Angelos wasn't doing anything with this team. They weren't doing any moves. They weren't locking guys down like Adley, like Gunnar. They've done nothing to secure this core group of guys, and they've done nothing to add to this group of guys, like except getting Corbin Burns for 1 year as a rental and then not giving him, what he deserves, like, and then going out and getting the relief pitcher who was his name. Anyways, he's trash. Anyways, doesn't matter. But like that being like the only big move that they make in the offseason, and this year, no moves again except getting Charlie Morton, who's 47 years old and is completely washed. I feel terrible for that team and the fans. Like, this team should be competing every single year for the playoffs, and with the injuries that they have and the lack of, real veteran starters on this team, they might miss the playoffs. They won over 100 games a couple years ago. They were out in that first round. Last year, they were out in the first round again. They won less games, and this year, I can see them winning 85, 86 games and completely missing the playoffs. And it's really important.
You were talking about Sir Anthony Dominguez?
No, freaking
Felix Bautista?
No, the relief pitcher that Alec homered off of. I'm completely.
Kimbrel.
Kimbrel, that was it. I said the one move that they made last year, not this year, but last year.
Oh, okay.
That's the one big move, and that was it. And it's just really unfortunate, and I feel terrible for that fan base. And again, I feel like they have to redirect their anger, not on their GM, but on the ownership group, who has refused to do anything. Supposedly, everyone was like, oh, we have a new owner now. They're going to spend money, and they haven't. And instead of blaming the GM, and they really shouldn't, they should be blaming the ownership group and Rubenstein for being cheap. And it's really unfortunate that such a great baseball town, they have such an amazing stadium, they have a great fan base, and the fact that they're not doing anything with them and just letting them die the way that they have is really unfortunate. And, my thoughts go out to the Orioles fans.
Yeah, every single day, almost every single day, or at least every few months, it seems like owners like John Fisher, I think the Monforts are the Rockies owners, or even the new Orioles owners. There's a lot of owners, and even Artie Moreno for the Angels. Ken Kendrick ain't looking too bad now, especially now that it seems like he's out of the financial hole that he was left in with Colangelo, and he's actually putting the money back in the team, obviously, with these extensions that we talked about for like the main four guys in the core that they locked up with Corbin, Cattell, and all that. Definitely a lot, worse pastures and not as green ones on some other teams. So I guess we can be very thankful, which is definitely a weird thing to say as a D-backs fan. But Brandon, any final thoughts from you, my good sir, whether on the Orioles series or anything, even on the upcoming series that you wanted to touch on that you haven't yet?
Just get a series win.
Pack the house too. Should be a fun Saturday. I will be busy. I won't be there. I should be there Sunday with my brother. I know our lovely producer Josh says is going to be packed there because I know it's going to be a D-backs Dispatch producer appearance. Which once again, if you see any of us ever at a game, don't ever feel like be like, oh, like it's them. Like I don't want to don't want to bother them. If you see me, I don't know if the fellas feel the same. If you ever see me at a game, always feel free to if you want to come up talk ball or just be like, hey, watch your guys' show. Even thoughts, whether it's like, oh, you guys are annoying, just wanted to say I see you and you guys are the annoying Twitter account, or if you want to say that you like the show and whether you just want to talk ball about the D-backs in general. Either way, say what's up. Come chat with us and let's have a fun time this weekend as we hopefully see the D-backs take on the Brewers and win a series, at least win a series. Maybe we can get our first sweep of the year. It'll be tough, but hey, that'd be a nice way to kind of get some more momentum built up and would really show that this team without Cattell is really well built. But again, appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in here. I know it's been a little bit of a long one and a little bit of a late one, but either way, always a pleasure to have you guys join us. If this was your first time in here, leave a like, comment, subscribe as well. I think we're getting closer to 400, so that's pretty cool. Make sure you guys go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. Go to the description below, or if you go to our Twitter, it should be our pinned tweet. We have a Discord. It's free. It's popping off in there all the time. And a way to, if you have any questions during the series or anything that we didn't touch on that you want us to ask us more personally or whatnot, even just to join the other amazing D-backs fans that we have in our community over there, join the Discord in the description below. Then also go check out all the content on azsnakepit.com, as there's just banger articles pretty much every single day. Bubba, you'll be there Saturday. Heck yeah. Hope you enjoy it, sir. Again, shout out to you for coming in the comments again. Always love seeing you. But yeah, all the stuff over on azstakepit.com is great stuff. I know our man Jeff's over there writing. Hope you guys go check it out, and hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday as we prepare for a fun weekend here against the Brewers. Y'all take it easy.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brett and Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it all. Fastballs from the